And there is breaking news coming in. The verdict in the rape case against self-styled godman Asaram is out. The godman has been found guilty along with 5 others. The verdict was delivered from jail premises as pleaded by Rajasthan police on April 21st. Asaram was arrested on the complaint filed by a teenage girl from Uttar Pradesh who was studying at the godman's ashram in Madhya Pradesh. The victim had alleged that Asaram had called her to his ashram near Jodhpur and raped her on August 15, 2013. The godman was arrested from Indore and brought to Jodhpur on September 1, 2013. He is under judicial custody since then. And this is the big breaking news coming in that Asaram has been convicted. He has been under judicial custody since 2013, as we all know. And to bring us more details on this news story, I am joined in by our legal correspondent, Jessica Taneja, live from the newsroom. Let's quickly go across to Jessica. Jessica, now that he has been convicted, what is the quantum of sentence that we are looking at?
Well, there are multiple possibilities, Akansha, as to what can happen in this case. As far as my reading is concerned, and I spoke to various lawyers as well, he could be considered convicted under the POCSO Act, or the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act of 2012. So remember, Akansha, this trial, and he was taken into custody in the year 2013. So POCSO Act is well within place. And then it could be, under the POCSO Act, it could be classified as an aggravated sexual assault, which will serve him a minimum of 10 years in prison and a maximum of life imprisonment, but of course fine. But one cannot say as to what will happen, because it will go on to extend when the judgment comes out as to what exactly has been convicted under and what is his quantum of sentence. Right now we only know he's been convicted, but we haven't heard details as to what exactly has been read out by the judge. And but under the possible circumstances of what has actually taken place, there could also be abetment and influencing and intimidating witnesses. You remember there were as many as 9 witnesses who were influenced. Out of that, 3 and 3 others were in fact even killed. So that is what there's some more details we're going to wait for, especially when it comes to the quantum of punishment.
Absolutely. Jessica, also elaborate for our viewers on all the charges that, he was facing, including trafficking, rape and sexual crimes against children.
Absolutely, and it's shocking that the girl was 16 years old, who's in fact a minor. And when that comes into the forefront, and there were 2 more girls, 2 more sisters who had come out and said that they were, intimidated and influenced by the godman himself, telling them that they would have a possible livelihood. He also influenced their parents, and multiple charges. Also, let's remind our viewers, Akansha, that at least more than 13 times his bail has been rejected by the trial court, and thrice, in fact, out of that by the Rajasthan High Court, and also thrice by the Supreme Court. So it all led to an understanding of sorts, looking at how legally this case has been handled for so long. As a matter of fact, that he would be convicted, and now the verdict is out. He, in fact, is convicted for the horrific and brutal crimes he's committed against women.
Absolutely, Jessica. And also, this case has been prolonging for long, because let's not forget that he was arrested in 2013, and let's also not discount the fact that he is also embroiled in a case in Gujarat as well.
Absolutely, and those were the 2 sisters from Surat that we were talking about, because the witnesses had deposed before the court, and the prosecution said we have enough evidence to convict him, to qualify him for a conviction, as what we've heard as well. But the defendants say that they would come out clean, and of course they've been proven wrong. And the kind of backdrop that it's come in, there's too much violence to be predicted in and around Jodhpur because of his devotees in the ashram. And let's remember, this is an ashram right close up to Jodhpur as well. So, of course, the kind of ambience that it is right now for whatever he's done. But at the time, it's important to understand that he's been convicted, and basis on what charges. The charges have been very serious, because he raped a minor, and he must have done it with a dozen other girls who've also come out, and after this case was registered, they've showed strength, they've showed, some sort of accountability. They reported the crime. Otherwise, this was going unreported for a very long time.
Absolutely. Also, let's not forget, that his trial in these 2 cases has been marked by, attacks on a string of witnesses. And not forget the fact how Panchkula plunged into chaos after another godman, self-styled godman, Gurmeet Ram Rahim, was convicted, So, has the security arrangement taken any cue from the violence back in 2017 in Panchkula?
Interestingly, you point that out, Akansha, because yes, exactly, that is what we saw, a couple of months ago when Gurmeet Ram Rahim, the self-styled godman who was convicted, and there was massive violence which took nearly 30 lives, and burning of public property, destroying public property, costing a lot of money to the exchequer for refurbishing, and that is the kind of problem with what happens when these godmen are convicted, and certainly Asaram Bapu is another one. We've been hearing since morning, about the devotees who are praying for his acquittal, but unfortunate that he's going to be convicted, and people still believe in godmen like these who are serious criminal offenders.
Absolutely. Jessica, I'm going to request you to pause there because I'm just joined in by our political editor, Mr. Kartikeya Sharma, live from the newsroom. Kartikeya, what is the latest that you can bring in?
See, Asaram Bapu has been convicted, but let me take you back to the history. Asaram Bapu case or Ram Rahim case, these are the stories of Indian godmen where women are sexually exploited. And it's not a generic statement. It's also a very sorry story of a country which is very feudal in many parts, in many ways, in many parts of the countries, where in name of service, where in name of spirituality, people from poor strata of the society get exploited. And we have to understand, Akansha, why does this happen? Because state fails in its role. State, which should be providing to the depressed classes for food, for education, for basic needs like toilet, for basic needs like transportation. These are the things which are done by the sects like or done by the godmen like Asaram Bapu. Or for example, Ram Rahim. Why do the congregations, before I get into the case, why do these congregations get so many people from different strata of the society, and especially from the repressed classes? Because that is what is made available to them. They get dignity there, they get dignity of labor, they get a house there, they get education there, they get medicines there, they get clean toilets there, they get a place to sleep there, and they get to eat the food, and they get a job, and it becomes a way of life there. But what these godmen do is that they exploit it. For example, what did this man do? He not only raped a girl, but the key accused went missing. So not only a crime took place, but the subversion also took place. He manipulated the law. He's 77 years old. What did Ram Rahim do? Not only the atrocities were committed, but people were harassed. Even the other cases of Indian godmen, you will realize that a lot of people would come there, and in the name of service and charity, you will find that most of the women, the most vulnerable of all, end up becoming victims. So it's a sorry tale of how Indian state fails its own people, and people like Asaram, and the Bapu is a nickname, so I will not use Bapu because it's like Mahatma. So the Asaram, who pretended to be some sort of a saint, ended up raping a woman from Shahajahanpur. And it's not as if he was a godman from beginning. If you go to Ajmer, you'll find out for 3 years, because he migrated from Sindh. He came from Pakistan during partition. He was a rickshaw puller. There's nothing wrong to be a rickshaw puller, but he reinvented himself. And it is in the story of reinvention, guile, and the way poor people, the people who had no idea what he was, were actually fooled by him. So it's a story of deceit.
Absolutely, it is a story of deceit, and as you aptly mentioned, Kartikeya, that the lower you are on the social, in the social order, you will be targeted. Also, I'm joined in by senior lawyer from New Delhi. Ashish Dikshit is on the phone line with us. Let's quickly go across to Ashish. Ashish, now that Asaram has been convicted, do you see justice finally arriving? Okay, Kartikeya, I have lost Ashish on the phone line. In the meanwhile, we completely agree with the points that you were making, that, it is a sorry tale, and that, the poor are always targeted. How important right now is the role of security and protection for these witnesses and for these who have actually, gone and taken these cases ahead, like this case of a 16-year-old minor?
I will be also giving you the names of other similar cases to substantiate the point I made.
Go ahead.
Because if you look at these cases, and specifically, these are, and most of them have taken place in one part of India, which is either the tribal part of Gujarat or Rajasthan or Haryana, where you have larger population of depressed section of the society. But coming back to the case, what is the case? Asaram was framed under section 342, 354, 370, 376, 376D. What is that? Juvenile Justice Act, Protection of Children from Sexual Offence Act, which Jessica was talking about. And what did he do? He is accused of raping a teenage girl from Shahajahanpur in Uttar Pradesh. She was studying at Godman's ashram in Chhindwara in Madhya Pradesh. Again, Chhindwara is a deeply rural, deeply poor area, though it's represented by a very prosperous MP from Congress, Mr. Kamal Nath. The victim has alleged that the Asaram called her to ashram in Manai area near Jodhpur and raped on the night of August 15, 2013. The girl was brought to Manai ashram after she once fainted at her school. The family was told she was possessed by evil spirits. So, this is the way this godman was trying to hide his crime. The victim and her family were allegedly threatened against speaking to anyone about the matter. The girl, however, persuaded the family to not let Asaram deeds go unpunished. So it was the bravery of the girl, not of her family. Asaram was arrested in Indore and brought to Jodhpur on September 1 in 2013. See how long this case has taken. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 6 years for a simple case of rape. But more than that, in the following years, a number of the key witnesses in the case were attacked or went missing. Asaram unsuccessfully moved 12 bail applications, of 6 were rejected by trial court, 3 by Rajasthan High Court and 3 by the Supreme Court of India. That was the might of Asaram. And the final arguments in the Asaram case were completed in special court.
I am joined in by senior advocate Vikas Pava, who is joining us on the phone line. Let's quickly go across to Vikas. Vikas, now that Asaram has been convicted, do you finally see justice arriving? Okay, we've lost Vikas on the phone line. Please go ahead, Karthikeyan.
You know, I was trying to tell you that there were other people. Swami Amrita Chaitanya, self-styled spiritual teacher. Swami Amrita Chaitanya, also known as Santosh Madhavan, was accused in several cheating cases, sentenced to 16 in prison 2009 for raping 2 minor girls and producing pornographic films of underage girls. Sant Rampal, self-styled godman, was nabbed by Haryana police after they found the bodies of 5 women and an 18-month-old child at his Satlok ashram. Paramhansa Nityanand, controversial self-styled godman Nityanand Paramhansa, disappeared for 5 days after charges of rape were leveled against him. A leaked video showed him engaged in sexual activities with Tamil actress Ranjita. These are the godmen. Ichchadhari Sant Swami Baba Bhimanand. You know, these are, I can just go on and on and on. But the fact of the matter is, it has nothing to do with religion. It is to do with the fact that the state fails for these basic services, because people come and give money. People feel that, you know, this money will be used effectively to tackle poverty, lack of education. But what it does is that it's like crony capitalism within our religious ecosystem. They acquire capital, they acquire labor, they acquire property. Some charities do take place, but charity becomes the publicity department, and then the horror takes place behind that wheel of charity.
Absolutely agree with you that, you know, this is a sort of, you know, capitalism taking place in, you know, in the garb of religion and superstition. But coming to, you know, the quantum of sentence, now that he's convicted, what are the possibilities of, you know, how massive could be the punishment now?
The punishment can be massive, but I would like to take this question to Jessica, if she is with me. Jessica, what is the quantum of punishment which, which will be delivered today? And is there any legal reprieve for Asaram?
Well, Karthikeyan, let's look at the case a little, backwards, because if you remember, 13 times he's appealed for bail and 13 times it's been rejected, thrice from the Supreme Court, thrice from the Rajasthan High Court, and the others from the trial court where he was, from where he was sent to jail and the case was heard. So the legal reprieve for him would, of course, be whatever the order is, to review it with the Rajasthan High Court and then again move forward to the Supreme Court. Of course, it depends on how it will move forward that way, but the quantum of punishment we can expect under POCSO, which qualifies to be the case here, because the victim at that point in time was 16 years old, and POCSO punishes any sexual offender under the raping a minor under the age of 18. So with that, it would be an aggravated sexual assault under the Prevention of Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act of 2012. So under that, it could be a minimum 10 years of jail and a maximum life imprisonment, and also a heavy fine.
Okay, it could be a minimum of 10 years of jail or a life imprisonment or a fine as well. Let's leave it at that. And with that, let's wrap this news broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us, Jessica Taneja and Kartikeya Sharma from the newsroom. With that, it's a wrap of this news broadcast. Thank you so much for watching.